It's Charter Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance at the California State Association of Counties Convention in Palm Springs. We are joined by Ron Mikulaco. He is a supervisor in El Dorado County, which was one of the counties that voted in favor of Prop 64, legalizing medical marijuana for recreational purposes. It was pretty much a landslide. 57% of the voters in California voted in favor of Prop 64, even in El Dorado County. What do you make of that, sir?
Well, it wasn't a surprise. The polling numbers showed it was going to pass. It actually passed more favorably than I believe, my opinion, the polling numbers showed. El Dorado County is a rural county.
Right.
And, you know, we have a lot of people who have property and land, and you know, I know at the county level we deal with a lot of marijuana growth, so it's not surprising.
And I want to talk about that, but I want to get a sense from you as a kind of student of politics. In 2010, that's a mere 6 years ago, there was an initiative to legalize marijuana, and it failed, getting about 47% of the vote. 6 years later, it gains 10 points and gets 57% of the vote. What happened in 6 years?
I think the difference was you've had other states who approved it, Colorado. Right. And I think that in 2010 it was a little new.
Right.
And how's this going to play out? I won't say the normalization of recreational marijuana, but in some ways you could look at marijuana use and the approval of recreational use is not necessarily a norm, but not so much odd.
Think about this, Mick. In the November election, there were 9 states that were considering marijuana legalization, either medical,
yes.
Well, either medical or recreational.
Correct.
Every state voted in favor except Arizona.
Except Arizona.
The other states, Maine, Nebraska, Nevada, they voted to legalize for all purposes.
Yep.
And Arkansas, Florida, and North Dakota for medical purposes. I mean, these are not blue states.
These are not blue states.
These are red states, purple
Yes.
states. So there really seems to be a sea change on views about marijuana.
And you know, I think that the younger generation is more accepting of marijuana.
Yeah.
I know that when I grew up in the 70s, and you know, I went to high school in the 80s.
Are you and me both?
You know, it was you know, people did it, but it was still considered to be a bit of a taboo.
Right.
Whereas now, my opinion, talking to the younger generation, they really don't see a big issue with smoking pot, frankly.
Clearly, the question becomes, though, where do we go from here? Because look, Colorado has legalized, Washington has legalized, Alaska's legalized, but you could put those 3 states, you know, in a small portion of California, and we still dwarf them. How does California engage in this grand experiment?
Okay, so the first part is to sort out what's happening. First off, the federal government still classifies marijuana as a Class 1 drug.
Can we talk about that for a second?
We certainly can.
So we know that President Obama has, he essentially has taken a hands-off approach.
He has.
I mean, there were some issues in Oakland with one of those clinics that was kind of a mega clinic, but they backed off. President-elect Trump,
we don't know.
I don't know. I mean, we don't know.
I think a lot of it comes down to who his attorney general is. I know Eric Holder, you know, focused our attention on other things other than dealing with states who were in conflict with federal policy. The difference
Jeff
here
Sessions, the nominee, Senator Jeff Sessions from Alabama, I mean, I don't know. I know he's taking certain positions that are pretty firm on immigrant rights or immigration policy, but I don't know if he's spoken on marijuana.
We have a strange paradox here because you have a voter-approved initiative.
Right.
Okay. You have federal law, and they're in conflict with each other. And at the same time, you have municipalities, cities and counties, who are dealing with how not only to implement that, but also there's some disparity about the level. And I've written our medical marijuana ordinance, and I thought it was very hand-handed. And the problems that came out of that, we could not foresaw.
What also is interesting about the paradox is it's not as if we have this kind of lefty left coast pushing legalization.
No,
I mean, there are plenty of conservative Republicans that have supported legalization. Dana Rohrabacher, conservative congressman from Orange County, big fan of legalization. I mean, there's this libertarian bent of the Republican Party that feels as if, forget it, you know, the war on drugs.
So my position is a little different, though, and I believe that it went to the vote, people approved it.
Right.
But as a county administrator, as chairman of the Board of Supervisors, my challenge is the fact that there's an element that the taxpayer has to pay for. And enforcement, the district attorney, code enforcement, believe it or not, has a big part of it. I'll tell you one of our biggest issues is about half our county is federal land, not federal land, but forest land. So you have people going out there camping out there for all intents and purposes and leaving tremendous messes out in the middle of our forests. Poisoning bears, using water. The fertilizer problem is a huge issue. That's just part of it. And then you have, and that's in the very, very remote areas. And then you have in the areas where there's a high concentration of people. You have a neighborhood, and you have somebody growing pot in their backyard. And you have, when I dealt with homeowners firsthand, they're trying to raise their kids and raise a family, and next door you've got somebody growing pot, and then the smell late in the summer is tremendous. So where do we strike a balance there? I don't think you can get everyone to agree about this.
But you do have, sir, land use authority.
We do have some, that's correct.
There is a California Supreme Court case that came out of the city of Riverside where they voted 7-0.
That's correct.
That is a matter of land use.
Yep.
A city, a county can say.
So we did.
So do you have medical marijuana facilities in El Dorado County?
We
I think your cities may.
We have a dispensary in the city of South Lake Tahoe, which is just over the Nevada border, which seems to be doing very well.
On the Nevada side or California side?
California side.
Okay.
Now, but the city has their own jurisdictional wherewithal to approve.
They do.
Now, at the county level, we didn't see pot shops as
you have a lot of unincorporated land in your county.
Most of El Dorado County is unincorporated. There's two cities, Placerville and South Lake Tahoe. So, so the majority of the county falls under the land use jurisdiction of the Board of Supervisors.
And Placerville, what have they done? Do you know?
Placerville has fallen more in line with the county.
Okay, so where do you go from here?
Well,
because you have a county whose voters said yes to 64.
Right, correct.
Do you allow brick and mortar legalized marijuana?
There's three aspects of it. One is the commercial grow. There's going to be an element of commercial growth. That's still sorting out. And even that's broken up into parts. You have hemp, where they grow just hemp.
Right.
You have, the commercial industry side of it. The second part of it is to offset what I spoke earlier about the drain on resources is the taxation element. Is that, okay, if you go buy a product at a auto parts store, you're going to pay taxes on it. Right now, medical marijuana, there's not much really taxes.
But let's talk about recreational marijuana.
Okay.
Because under 64,
let's talk about this.
Under 64, the state gets to tax 15%.
Yes.
The locals have the opportunity to tax.
Yes.
Many locals passed initiatives in November in anticipation of 64.
Correct.
And there's a concern that some of those taxes are so onerous that the black market will look more favorable in terms of pricing.
Well, it's a challenge. We're right here at CSAC, we're still trying to get a sense of where this is going to be sorted out from.
Right.
Is the state going to set permits? Is the local jurisdiction? Is it going to be a combination? Is it going to be agricultural or land use? It looks to me like they want to go in the ag departments. I can tell you from our experience, our ag commissioner is busy doing what they're doing now, dealing with all their agricultural stuff, and they don't have the resources to, like land use. If you go to planning services for a permit for a deck or a house, they have the ability to issue permits and have people on that can deal with the land use things.
But with regard to El Dorado, you have some ag there.
A lot of ag there.
Do we anticipate that we're going to see some marijuana farms pop up? I mean, it's a legal product now.
Well, I'll give you, there's a barometer to that issue, and that is the fact that, and this is the fact that the value of unimproved land, vacant land in rural areas, the value's gone up tremendously.
Right.
And I was talking to a supervisor who, in the Central Valley, they have those old grow houses that are kind of dilapidated. Those have become very hot commodities.
Big business.
Big business.
His name is Ron Mikulaco. He is a supervisor in El Dorado County. It's a tough place to live in beautiful El Dorado. My name is Brad
Hold on a
Pomerance.
second. It's a beautiful place to live, and you don't know what you're missing if you're not living there.
From CSAC and Palm Springs, this is Charter Local Edition.